All right, Steeler fans, it is Friday. It's time for Behind Enemy Lines, where I am talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, the first time the Steelers and Bengals will meet in 2024. To do that, bringing in B Dirt, Brandon Herriott. You probably remember him, know him from the homies every Friday here on the Steel Curtain Network. B Dirt, what's up?
Not much. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing just fine. I want to ask you before we get into the nuts and bolts, so to speak, of this upcoming game. You excited for the Hard Knocks about to start?
Jeff, this is a rough week for me. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a Michigan fan. I've got Ohio State, Michigan this
Yes.
week. I've got the Steelers Bengals game. Uh, Not real excited about. Rather, we've learned how to tackle in this off week, and now I've got to go to a soap opera coming up too about us. And there's I listen. I think we're in a really bad situation. The Browns obviously have had a lot of turmoil. After the Browns, I think we've had a lot of turmoil as well. So I don't know. I think there's going to be some dirty laundry aired.
It's going to be interesting, and I've there's people that are like it's too much of a distraction. Man, this is entertainment. Like that's what we are. We are in the entertainment business. Sports is entertainment. I'm here to be entertained. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to seeing what they have because they do a great job with that show, nonetheless. But
Yeah, it's 21st century gladiators, man. That's what
exactly,
they
that's
are.
all it is. Exactly. All right, so let's talk about this game. And first, I want to ask you, man, the Bengals. We knew their defense was going to be the issue. And I had you on before the season even started. And you said, look, the concern is the defense. The offense is going to be good. And that has played out just like you had suggested. But is there more to it than that? What else is going on that started the Bengals in such a downward spiral and they having to have these second half comebacks, which always fall short?
Well, listen, on the defensive side of the ball, I no push in the middle from Rankins. Some of the guys that we went and got in the offseason were, excited as a Bengals fan to see them spending money in the offseason. That doesn't always happen, right? And then they go get Geno Stone from the Ravens.
Yep.
But it didn't quite all mesh together. They still haven't been able to get outside of Trey Hendrickson. There is no pass rush. They're still holding on to playing some of the veteran guys. I mean, Sam Hubbard will always be, Mr. Cincinnati, grew up in Cincinnati, has made some great plays throughout his career, but he's just not getting any rush right now. He's been playing through injury. Really, you look at the percentage of pressure, there's 3 or 4 guys that should be playing in front of him. So there's some other things there. Coaching, there's been some listen, if we put a tight end in motion from left to right, we're running the ball to the right, Jeff. Run over there. And vice versa. If it goes right to left or left to right, you know where it's going. And they haven't checked out of that at all. My 74-year-old mother, is sitting at home saying, I know what they're doing. So it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah,
But
when you're
yes,
going,
it's
yeah, go
coaching.
ahead.
It's coaching. It's defense. It's Geno Stone hasn't been great in coverage. Hasn't been great in tackling. We knew that going in. That wouldn't be his strength. We've had defensive backs. CTB, Cam Taylor-Britt, has not played nearly as good as he has in the past. And then you start getting injuries with Dax Hill. DJ Turner comes in. He actually looks like he's starting to play well out for the season with a clavicle injury. So just a snowball effect there on D.
So I want to ask you a question that's based on me being an outsider. Now, sure, I follow the AFC North closely because I'm a Steeler fan. I want to see what they're doing. But for me, it just looks like the offense, they're not running the ball well either. It seems like they really miss Joe Mixon and his versatility. But I mean, the passing game is still dynamic, and it's going to be dynamic as long as Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow are there. What's going on with the run game? Do they just not have the horses in the back, or the offensive line not opening holes, or both?
So I think everybody we're missing Joe Mixon because of what he's doing in Houston.
True.
Joe Mixon only averaged 0.1 yard more than what Chase Brown is right now. That is, our offensive line has not played well in the middle of the line. We've had some problems. But all that said, to me, it's scheme. It's scheme related. The scheme is always wherever that blocker flows to, that whole thing goes to. And you're not going to catch a good double team out of that. You're going to get over pursuit. We haven't done anything to stop that. So I think it's scheme as much as anything else. And I think you're seeing now what Joe Mixon can do when it's schemed a little differently. And look at the Houston Texans have had problems on the offensive line too. They got a mash unit out there, but it's schemed up for him better. And he's still a good running back. I think there's a lot of scheme issues. Amarius Mims looks a little. He's done great in pass blocking. He, as a rookie, has a lot to learn in the NFL about run blocking. He needs to get a little nastier out there. But the inside, Karras, Kappa, Volson have not been good run blockers.
Okay. Now, we know Jamar Chase is an elite wide receiver, top 5 for sure, if not top 3. T. Higgins, he's been in and out of the lineup, and there's always been questions about his durability. Some wonder if he'll be back. Who's a threat in the passing game that's not getting talked about a lot that Steeler fans might want to know about because they might have an impact if the Steelers, and I expect them to do this, will shade everything Jamar Chase's way?
Yeah, it has been when he's not there. When Higgins has been out, Mike Gesicki's been that guy that we use in that slot and can have bigger games. Yoshivas has not really. He's come up with some big plays, timely plays. Seems to be a little bit of a gamer, but down in and down out, he has not been there. And Jermaine Burton has been a disappointment for his rookie season. Didn't expect him to come in and challenge for a 2 or play the 3 right away, but expected him to be a little bit ahead of where he's at as far as catching on to the offense, the maturity. When Joe Burrow misses you on multiple routes per game by 5 yards, I give Joe Burrow the nod there that he didn't miss that throw by 5 yards 3 different times. That's got to be something where the wide receiver's not running the route he's expected or something there. So really it's been Gesicki and it's been Chase Brown out of the backfield.
Yeah. That's okay. So let's talk about Joe Burrow. The offensive line has done a good job of protecting Joe Burrow. He's been harassed at times. How would you rate Joe Burrow's game? I mean, he's had the numbers, really great numbers, actually, if you look at his overall stats for the whole year. How would you rate Joe Burrow and the pass protection going into week 13?
So the pass protection, I think Joe Burrow has made in years past, I think he's made them look bad because he wants to make the great play and holds on to the ball. This year, I think it's been the opposite. I think most of the time he's made them look better because he's really pulled some Houdini acts, Jeff. I thought he's been sacked multiple times. He gets out of the pocket, makes a play. He's getting rid of the ball at a fairly decent rate, a little bit faster than he has the past couple of years. I think right now, and a little bit of bias, right? Obviously, you're never going to take it completely out, but if we are, 7-4, we're talking about an MVP season.
That's fair,
but we're not.
Right.
And I just don't think you can have it in that conversation. You can't put him in that top 2 or 3, I think, unless you're at least in the playoff race, and we're not there.
Well, what's the vibe from the fan base? Because, the Bengals are that team at 4-7 that everyone says they're not dead yet. They're not dead yet. And they could get hot. We know that Cincinnati, especially the offense, do they have what it takes to climb their way back into the AFC playoff picture, in your opinion?
Short answer would be no for me.
Okay.
And listen, man, when you look at the hard positions to get right, quarterback, wide receivers, we have excellent playmakers in those positions. The game still comes down to blocking and tackling, and we don't do those 2 things well.
Yeah,
and it's really sad to see, and especially with the tackling aspect right now, it's porous to say the least.
Is it a 1-2 thing? Like, are these just not willing tacklers? Is it bad form? Like, what the hell's going on?
Well, I think there's a little bit of the coaching and that culture is a little bit to say with it. Some of it is the Jimmies and Joes, so to speak. But at the end of the day, you you look at, Pittsburgh is a great example, right? Structurally, when you go to training camp, you're going to see guys hitting each other. You're going to see some physicality. They're going to play that way week in, week out. That's their identity. It's just not. We talked about it on our show last week during our bye week, and Justin Lacey and I talked about our linebackers are pretty good linebackers. They're fairly smart. They play fairly well at coverage. Do everything well. Nothing great, everything well. Yeah. But one thing I'd like to have out of that middle linebacker position is a little hint of violence, a little aggression. You see what it's done for you guys from last year to this year's defense. Sure. I mean, your defense hugely improved, and I think Wilson and Queen are a big part of that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a little of that over here.
Well, and you have Landon Roberts is that edge. He's the hammer, and so if it's an obvious running down, he's the guy that's going to be out there. You think about this. This is a really odd game for me. Both teams coming off extended breaks. You all had your bye. The Steelers had a mini bye after their loss on Thursday Night Football in Week 12 to the Cleveland Browns. How do you see this game? I was shocked. I looked at the early line. It's got Bengals -3. I mean, I get it. The Steelers didn't look particularly great. Russell Wilson, the shine has kind of lost a little bit of its luster since he's come back. I get all that. The dude still has only lost one game. And man, they're 8-3. And I'm like, damn, -3. I know you do a gambling podcast. What was your take on that line?
So that is the quintessential. The line isn't like them guessing who's going to win by how many. The line is money. The line is to move money places.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Man, I don't know. I'm not taking the Bengals -3. That's for sure. Who's guarding Pickens? Let's start there. I mean, is it going to be Newton, our rookie from TCU? That could be a quick learning environment. So I don't know. I don't understand the line. I think it's going to be a tough game for us to win. Yeah. I listen. Do they have the players only meeting and come out rah pom poms and you actually see more effort on the defensive end, tackling and getting after it a little bit? Possibly. Is it sustainable? To be continued.
So how do you see this game playing out? Because the Steelers defense, although they did come off giving up 24 points to Cleveland, they are still a very good defense, and they're good from top to bottom. How do you see this game playing out? Because it really is going to be strength versus strength, Bengals offense versus the Steelers defense. I don't need a prediction or a score, but how do you see this game when you envision it in Week 13 at Paycor? How do you see it going down?
Did you watch or see or look at the stat lines from our very first game of the year against the New England Patriots?
I did not. I know you lost that game.
We lost that game. They ran the ball and they ran the ball and they ran the ball and they kept that time of possession. I think the Steelers will try and do that and then hit the home run ball.
Yeah.
And the matter of fact is the Bengals, in order to stop the run, have been going a lot of single safety. If you go single high safety, you're going to get that deep ball chance. So I think I trust Pittsburgh's defense to make a play before I trust the Bengals defense to make a play. Whether it's a turnover on downs, a big stop, whatever that is. I trust Pittsburgh to make that before I trust the Bengals to make that. So I give them the slight edge. I still think it's going to be a close game.
I agree. I absolutely agree with you. I think it's going to be a close game. Let's say the Bengals lose this football game, and let's say they don't make the playoffs. Is there a coaching change this offseason, in your opinion?
Jeff, I have been talking about it for about 5 weeks because I saw it early. I saw the same progressions. I don't know. Do they miss Brian Callahan that much going to Tennessee? He wasn't calling the plays here. That's always been Zach Taylor. But is it that Dan Pitcher doesn't get enough influence in? I'm not 100% sure there. I've been wanting Zach Taylor to give over those play calling duties for the past couple years. We don't see when I'm watching a Bengals game, I see every other team in the NFL basically will get an easy pitch and catch, an easy this or that. I don't see that from Bengals scheme. I see them always having to win, at least win a one-on-one battle. The best they do is get them schemed to a one-on-one. So I think it's lackluster. I'm tired of the same demeanor in the press conferences and everything. Like there's no, like, it's always very even keel. And I guess you kind of want that, but have some sense of urgency, have some get after it. And I would like to see it. Will we? Man, it's not the Bengals MO, man. They are the king of letting everybody play out their contracts.
Yep. The Steelers know all about that. But all right, Peter, Brandon, tell us where you can find your coverage for the Bengals on Fans First.
We are running through the jungle. Also on the Steel Curtain Network, I'll be on there on Friday doing the Homies podcast Friday night. So check us out there and the Homies Overtime. And that's always a good one. But Running Through the Jungle on Wednesdays. We have Pater on Running Through the Jungle or the Fans First Sports Network on Wednesdays as well. So you can check us out there.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time, man. And enjoy the game. We'll be in touch soon. There's going to be another one of these.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.